As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I am your host, as always, Seth. Today I have a buddy of mine who I met on a Lineable in one of the Smart Connects, the speed networking things, and we hit it off. And Elise is a riot. She's fun, she's bubbly, and I'm like, and she's an entrepreneur, so I'm like, I've got to get you on the podcast. It made perfect sense. I'm like, this will be a fun 20 minutes, and let's just rock and roll. So Elise is the CEO of EK Editorial and Coaching and EKPR. So there's two companies. One's a PR company and one is more of a creative writing directions company. You've written books. You help people write books. You're a powerhouse. So that's what matters. So, you're a force to be reckoned with.
Great.
So how's it going, Elise? How you doing?
You, Seth?
I'm doing great. So if I remember correctly, first of all, you're a best-selling author of Under My Skin, Drama, Trauma, and Rock and Roll, which is your first memoir in your trilogy series. Ooh,
yes.
There's gonna be 3 of them. That's awesome. But if I remember correctly, you were in Japan for Billboard. Was it Billboard magazine or was it Rolling Stone?
I was the youngest ever bureau chief in Tokyo, and the reason I got there was in Tokyo. And the reason I got there was because I was a music journalist in high school. Think about, what do you call that film? Almost Famous. I tell people I was almost famous because I toured with
That's
Kiss.
Been wild. Oh, wow. So you weren't quite a roadie or a groupie. You were actually a music journalist touring, but you had the fun of a groupie.
No, I didn't have the fun of the group because I didn't go to bed with any of the members.
Well, that's you're a responsible one. You were the responsible one who wrote the stories and had a good time.
Yes, and 1/3 of those stories is in my memoir, in book number 1.
Ooh, pick that up, Amazon.
Yeah,
or at your local bookseller. And if it's not at your local bookseller, get on Elise. So her links will be in the show notes, and get her to put it in the local bookseller because we want to promote local booksellers if we can. But if you can't, get it on Amazon because it's gonna be a great read, I'm sure. So how did this all get started? How did this entrepreneurial journey get started?
So I started as a journalist and thought for the rest of my life, all I'm going to do is be a writer. Mm-hmm. However, once I was in Japan and then working the music industry for Billboard magazine, and I realized that nobody's a stranger, and I know how to communicate to different audiences, something that was just innate. Having an imagination, and yet putting those ideas to test, meaning making sure that they were viable, concrete-wise, and making a profit for others, I created my first business.
Yeah.
And I was 22 years
Love
old.
It.
I'm a foreigner, I'm a fish out of water in Japan, and I created a publishing agency where I bought the rights to music catalogs of British and American bands and then promoted that in Japan, including events, experiential marketing, negotiating record deals, and then launching the careers of everyone from, and I'm going to drop some names now, Elvis Costello,
Please do.
Graham Parker and the Rumor, Generation X, Billy Idol, the whole music catalog from the UK called Stiff Records, Nick Lowe, all these punk rock, The Cure, The Clash. So that was my first business.
Wow.
I was doing so
That's
well
wild.
that I sent my mother, who hadn't seen me in 2.5 years, because I was in Japan for 5 years. I sent her a first class round
Okay.
trip, at the time Pan Am ticket, plus $5K spending money. It's like, hey, Mom, have a blast.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, what an amazing story. And so you came back from Japan, and did you jump right back into your own thing? Did you do corporate? Did you do more journalism?
If you
What's
want
the
to have
story there?
hemorrhoids, go corporate. No, thank you. Not for
I love
me. The name of my second memoir is called A Rogue Entrepreneur and How She Did It Around the World. Yeah. So when I got back to the States, I decided that the need was Japanese companies in America. This was at a time when Sony bought Columbia Pictures. The Japanese purchased Rockefeller Center. I was a liaison bridge between and introduced on the East Coast of America Kirin Beer, Wacol Lingerie, and Shiseido Cosmetics. That was what I did. Big brands.
Oh, that's all. That's all you did. Okay.
And, to be impressive for the Japanese, I had an office in the Empire State Building on the 59th floor. Great view, looking straight south at Sunset and Lady Liberty.
I love it. So after that, how did you find your way into book coaching? I guess you have enough of a story.
There's
so,
more
you
stories,
must write your own
right?
book.
There's like, that was then. Okay, let's jump to the present moment. So what happened was, like, about 2015, I already had my PR firm. I was doing local events. Like, I'm living in Austin, Texas now for the last 13 years, since 2011. And it's the first place outside of New York City I've ever lived in the United States, because I've lived in 5 countries, but nowhere else in the. So, like, coming.
Yeah, well,
exactly,
Texas is
Seth.
country,
that's what I tell people. I'm in my 6th country. Okay, so anyway.
There you go. And the Texans love you for it because you call it a country.
Well, it took me a while, to get into the twang and to say y'all and all that. But I do, because I like to adapt, right? So, yeah. So while I was doing PR for musicians, film festivals, nonprofits, and healthcare, all types of businesses, people came to me and said, listen, you're a writer. Hey, could you take a look at my book? Tell me what I have to do. And it just happened organically. Well, not only did I tell them what it had to do, but I edited it. And then I became, by default, a developmental editor, which means somebody that will take the helicopter view, look at the text, and determine what the areas of where is there synergy, where is there lack, where is it repetitive, what do you have to do to expound on characters or themes, etc., etc. It's really like more than an editor, behind the author. So I started doing this and not really making a lot of money at it. It was just like, oh, I'm going to help a friend kind of thing. And then that built and it built and it built. And then I said, you know what? I have this all down. I'm going to create some courses. So there's online book writing courses, which I offer, as well as coaching. And I coach
Love it.
online or in person. I'm also a ghostwriter.
Well, obviously, it's in Austin,
Well,
Texas,
in person is Zoom. So that's
yeah.
face to face.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It is actually face
to face.
right?
Yeah.
I should call it in your face coaching.
It's more in your face consultation. I love it.
And so there's that side of it.
Love it.
Plus ghostwriting, right? I've written management books. I've written how-to books. I've written memoir. I've written fictionalized versions of somebody's story. And so
to say you like to write is an understatement. You're clearly a writer, and you've cultivated that into a career, which is awesome.
The other side of the writing equation is the EK public relations, where I write the words to make business fly. Sing that to Barry Manilow, I write the words to make the young girls cry. No, I write the words to make the business fly.
There we go. We managed to fit Barry Manilow into the podcast. I love it.
And,
we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Love it.
So you may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Christy Heiler hosts a fantastic podcast called Own It. Christy, tell us more about the show.
Own It is all about celebrating women and non-binary advertising agency owners. We talk about buying out of the boys' club of advertising because less than 1% of ad agencies are owned by women.
And where can people subscribe?
You can find the podcast at untilyouownit.com. We're also on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net. And of course, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
What's your favorite thing about being a not being a journalist, being an entrepreneur?
My free time. I get to choose when I work, how long I work, how smart I work, and nobody telling me, okay, my clients in a way are my bosses. Of course they are, but it's not the same.
It's you can't escape that. Yeah.
It's relationships.
It's definitely not the same.
So that's very different than if you have a boss who's a complete ass,
Manager. Exactly. Then on the flip side, what keeps you up at night as being an entrepreneur? What keeps you up at night?
I guess cash flow. Because listen, you could be doing great, for 1 year, and then you better invest and be smart about your money because you don't know what's coming down the pipeline. So never rest on your laurels. Never think, oh, this is it. It's not it. There is no it. It's a roller.
No, absolutely not.
It's a roller coaster.
No one saw COVID coming.
And it's or there could be smooth sailing. But anyway, be smart about it.
You have to be smart about it and worry about the cash flow and all that. So what is the most important thing that you carry with you all the time? Now, this could be physical, it could be a pencil for all we know, or it could be something you can go as woo-woo as you want to go.
What I carry with me all the time is a determination and a love of laughter. You need a sense of humor, and you need to deflect that about yourself and not take yourself too seriously. Because if you do, I'm sorry, you're not that important. But on the other hand, if you can laugh at yourself and laugh at life, even during the so-called bad times, right? Or down times, you never lose your spirit. And that spirit is what I carry with me all the time. And it's one of humor, determination, and a zest for life.
You have to. And especially when you're a quirky city like Austin, there's definitely a zest for life in that town. But you're originally a New Yorker, right? Yeah, so that's a zest for life. I mean, you grab the bull by its horns and run with it.
Absolutely.
That's wild. So if people want to find out more about this crazy Elise and her amazing life, obviously look you up on Amazon, buy the book. But like, where do you hang out the most? I mean, I know we met on Alignable, which is like the local business version
Right.
of LinkedIn, only much better.
No, that's
I'm
okay.
a little biased, but
Well, I
Where else is your
linked
watering hole?
Alignable, LinkedIn, and I send out a newsletter, and you can reach me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube.
Oh, you're
I
all
have a
over the place.
channel that
Yeah.
I need some followers. It's just starting
Good.
out,
Let's get on it, people.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
or on Calendly, like, so we can have a Zoom meeting if you're interested in any of my services.
Amen. In your face networking event. There you go.
In your
In your
face
face.
editorial and coaching.
I love it. And so if people want to check you out online, it's your name.com, which is easy.
Yeah, if they know how to spell it, it's easy.
Well, it'll be in the show notes, so they don't have to spell
Well,
it. That's the beauty of show
you're
notes.
a genius, Seth.
They'll be in the show notes. Why, thank you. I wish I could say I came up with this idea of show notes in the first place. No, I didn't. And it's part of podcasting. But, we'll have all the links in the show notes. So check it out. Be sure to like Elise's YouTube channel, help her get the following that she needs to monetize it. I think you need 1,000 followers to monetize your channel.
Way to go. Oh my God, I don't even have 25 followers yet.
Oh, let's get on it, folks. Let's get on it. Absolutely. But this has been so much fun. Like I said, this is always a quick podcast. It always flies by really quickly. It's been 16 minutes already. I'm like,
no more questions, Seth?
No, it's simple, to the point. Maybe this is made for a small commute for people. I like to make it so, because I think it's worse than these 2-hour-long podcasts that are like, it's like reading the Sunday Times. It's like, I love them, but it takes me like 2 or 3 days to listen to them. And I'm like, I'm short and sweet, get people that are interesting in front of other people, and that's what matters. So guess what? We'll see everyone next time.
Thank you, Seth.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.